The Philadelphia Eagles just got some huge news before taking on the Denver Broncos, as the latest injury updates reveal several important players will play in this one after some uncertainty. However, one player that we thought might make his return this week will unfortunately have to wait a little longer. Plus, what are the key matchups in this Eagles and Broncos game, where can Philly take advantage, and where must they improve? Well, we're going to talk about that and all the other latest news before the Eagles and Broncos matchup, starting right now. Alright, so the Eagles and Broncos Week 5 NFL matchup is just a few days away, and it's going to be a very tough game for both sides. I mean, both teams are coming off big wins, both are obviously playoff teams from last year, and it's just going to be a really fun and exciting matchup between two very talented teams. And for the Eagles, they come into this game in a really unique spot, as of course they are 4-0 and just one of two remaining undefeated teams. Yet, when you dive deep into the numbers, it's honestly insane that they can still say that, because as Mike Brown of The Athletic pointed out in a recent article, the Birds are currently the NFL's biggest enigma because, quote, Jalen Hurts is 27th in passing yardage, Saquon Barkley is 20th in rushing yards, neither A.J. Brown nor DeVonta Smith rank in the top 60 in receiving yards, the Eagles rank 30th in total offense, but 7th in scoring, 27 points per game, and 22nd in total defense, and 16th in points allowed, 22 points per game. Yet, the defending Super Bowl champs are a perfect 4-0 and have won in just about every way imaginable. Yeah, so again, that's obviously insane, and I think there's two sides to that coin there. On one hand, the Eagles have simply found ways to win games, which is ultimately the most important thing, and I think it's a reflection of the winning culture that they have and that Nick Sirianni and the rest of the guys have built there in this current era of Eagles football. But then, on the other hand, they just gotta be better moving forward if they do want to sustain the success they've had so far. Now, I'm much less worried about the defense. I think the numbers there don't tell the full story. And while they have had their struggles at times, overall I think they've been pretty good. And as long as Vic Fangio is at the helm, I trust them. And it's actually rather the Eagles offense that I'm a bit more worried about, as they just have not been consistent enough. And as I talked about in my last video, they currently have major issues with both the play calling and the execution. So again, those just have to get better, especially since they now are going to have a really tough test ahead of them in this Broncos defense.
They got great players. It's a great team, a well-coached team. Got great players on defense, very disruptive group. Obviously, Defensive Player of the Year last year, and Pat. Nick has always been able to get to the ball since our days at Oklahoma, and they got a hell of a defense, and it'll be another tough challenge for us.
Yeah, there's no denying that Denver has a lot of talent on defense, whether you want to look at last year's Defensive Player of the Year and cornerback Patrick Surtain, or you want to look at that defensive line and all the talent that they have there. And it's not just about the talent, as they've been very productive as well. So far, through 4 games, the Broncos defense has been absolutely elite, as they rank number 8 in yards allowed per game, 8th in pass defense, 11th in rush defense, and are tied for 2nd in points allowed. So, yeah, they definitely present a challenge for an Eagles offense that has been very inconsistent and has had a lot of issues that they need to figure out early in the season. And on the defensive line specifically, the Broncos may actually have an advantage over this Eagles offensive line, which is crazy to say that, just given that it seems like for years, all we've been able to say is that Philly's unit has the edge in whatever matchup they have. But as I talked about in my last video, they've been struggling recently. Meanwhile, the Broncos' defensive line is currently playing like the best unit in the league, as their lineup of Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, and John Franklin Myers, among others, currently leads the NFL in sacks with 15, they're first in QB hits with 19, and they're third in hurries with 18. And overall, they have the number 9 ranked pass rush and run defense. So again, this is no doubt a huge challenge for an Eagles O-line that is banged up and just not playing their best ball right now. Ultimately, for the Eagles offense in this game, I think it's simple. We've seen what they're capable of when they're aggressive, when they air things out, when they throw the ball to A.J. Brown and their other weapons. Jalen Hurts, I think, is playing very well right now. So even against this tough Broncos defense, I just think they need to stay aggressive and they need to trust their guys to make plays, because when they've done that, they've had success. And also, I'll say this, if the Eagles are able to have a lot of success through the air, then that'll only help to open things up in the run game. And we've seen that already a little bit at times this season. So, hopefully we'll see a little bit of that in this game as well. And the guys execute better than what we've seen so far because, like I've talked about for a while now, the Eagles' run game just has been very disappointing so far. And also, I can't not mention the play calling when it comes to that because the Birds have just been so darn predictable at times, with them passing it 70% of the time they're in shotgun and them running it 81% of the time that they're in pistol or under center. So, I don't know what else to say besides that just needs to get better. Like, I shouldn't be able to call out whether it's a run or a pass from my couch. So hopefully that improves and this Eagles offense is able to have success against this Broncos defense. Switching over to the other side of the ball, though, the Birds defense is also going to have a tough challenge, as this Broncos offense has also been very good in some areas to begin the season, as they're ranked 9th in yards, 16th in passing, 5th in rushing, and 16th in scoring. So again, some areas are great, others aren't as good, but still solid overall. And this is a talented group as well, when you look at their quarterback Bo Nix, to their group of receivers, their running backs, and that offensive line as well.
They're a good team, they like to run the ball, and every defense's main goal is to stop the run. So, that's the main goal for us. And, we stop the run, the offense get a run and put some points on the board. It's time to throw the ball now and then we can have some fun with that. But, the main goal is to stop the run. Bo Nix, I've been seeing him. He's an athlete at quarterback. He can run, he can throw. It's not a surprise. Nowadays all quarterbacks are able to run and, they agile and stuff like that. So, we just got to find a way to keep him in the pocket and stop him from doing him.
Bo Nix is a good quarterback. I've seen him in college a little bit. They're kind of like a old school boot type of style of an offense. Bo Nix, I think he's like a Baker Mayfield Jr. a little bit. He's a guy that likes to just do a lot of different things, like to scramble, whenever he's in trouble or whenever, he can't find anything. They have great backs over there, great tight ends, great O-line. It's going to be a great game to, just go out there and compete.
Yeah, no doubt again that this Birds defense is going to have their work cut out for them with this Broncos offense. And one area particularly where Denver shines, as you saw from those numbers that I mentioned previously, is the run game, as that attack led by J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey is ranked 5th in the league. They average 143.3 yards per game. And last game against the Bengals, they ran all over that defense for 186 yards. So that should definitely be the Birds' biggest emphasis in this one, just to slow down that run game, because if it gets going, that's a slippery slope. And I think a key matchup to watch will obviously be the Broncos' offensive line versus the Eagles' defensive line, because Denver's unit has been playing really, really well. Of course, the run game being a big part of that, as they're ranked the 9th best run blocking group in the league. But on top of that, they are the number 1 ranked pass blocking unit in the NFL so far as well. So again, this is going to be a big test for an Eagles defensive line that has been solid and really good at times, but has also struggled at times to stop the run or get pressure on the quarterback. And I'd say an area to watch is going to be left guard Ben Powers versus the Birds defensive tackles. Powers is probably the weakest link of that offensive line, so for guys like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Moro Jomo, that's a matchup that they need to win.
It's just the beginning, we're not at our full potential. I don't think we're going to get there until it's time for us to retire and be like, we did it. But, we're still working every week. We're getting better every week. And, it's just going to get better. Right now what you're saying is just a snippet of it. The more we learn, the more we work on our technique, you're going to see us be great.
Definitely really, really excited about the duo of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and their potential. Obviously, like Carter said, they're only just getting started, and hopefully this week is another step towards reaching that potential, and they have a great performance along with the rest of the defense. Speaking of which, that's a defense that won't in fact have linebacker Nakobe Dean back for this game, as after his 21-day practice window was open on Wednesday and he was able to get out on the field this week, he took to Instagram on Friday to announce that he in fact would not be activated for the Broncos game this week, and also said, quote, "controlling what I can control." So, glad to see Nakobe is keeping a positive attitude about things. Definitely not surprised at all that he's not going to be active this week. And I actually think that's a good thing, as there's really no need to rush him back. And I'm sure that they just want to make sure that he's fully good to go when he does eventually return. So again, no Nakobe Dean this week, but super happy with the progress that he's made, and we'll definitely see him out there soon. Now that said, with that news, the Birds also did get a little bit of a scare at the linebacker position on Friday, as the rookie Jihaad Campbell was not seen by reporters during practice after not being listed on the injury report all week long. So, that definitely caused some concern that maybe something popped up and he wouldn't be able to play this Sunday. But we later did get word that he was actually excused from Friday's practice for a personal reason, and he is going to play on Sunday. So, definitely good news that he will be out there, and hopefully everything's good with him and that personal reason isn't serious at all. And in regards to the rest of the Eagles injury report, it was all good news on Friday, as Jalen Carter, Adoree Jackson, and Lane Johnson were all full participants and will play on Sunday. Now, in the case of Jackson, it's going to be interesting to see whether he starts or if it remains Kelee Ringo after his good performance last Sunday, and that's something I talked about in my last video, so you can go check that out after you finish watching this one. And then for Grant Calcaterra, he returned and will play in this game after missing Thursday's practice with an illness. And Dallas Goedert also practiced on Friday, and he will in fact play in this game, which obviously, again, that's huge because Goedert is one of the very best tight ends in all of football. He's crucial to the Eagles' pass and run games, and having him out there just adds a whole new element to this Eagles offense. So definitely great news that he is going to play. Meanwhile, for the Broncos, they have a few guys that are banged up, but it doesn't seem like any major pieces will miss this game. So both teams are, for the most part, at full strength going into this one. And overall, I think it's going to be a tough game for both sides, but the Eagles are at home. They're obviously 4-0. They're the Super Bowl champs, so I'm going to pick them to win by a final score of 27-20. And also, a couple more things here. For one, the Eagles have been shuffling the practice squad this week in a really weird way, as first they signed Antoine Powell-Ryland back to the practice squad, then the next day they released him along with Eli Ricks to sign defensive tackle Jacob Sykes and defensive end KJ Henry. And then the next day, they turned right around and did the complete opposite of that move, signing Eli Ricks and APR back to the practice squad while getting rid of Sykes and Henry. So, definitely seems like they're just trying to keep all those guys around by making these constant moves, but, we'll see how it plays out moving forward. And then also, shout out to Quinyon Mitchell for winning Defensive Player of the Week in the NFC. I missed that a couple days ago, but definitely very well deserved, and congrats to him for that. And all that said, you can give me your predictions for this game down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. And also, I do just want to take a second and say that I do apologize for a couple less videos this week. I'm going to try and get back on that next week, but I've just been dealing with some stuff in my personal life, so I don't want to get into it, but, that's why there's been less videos, so appreciate you guys still sticking around and tuning in. And if you don't want to miss anything moving forward, then make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications. And also, leave a like down below, because that really does help me out so much, guys. I cannot stress that to you enough. So just go do that real quick. Let's see if we can get to at least 600 likes today. I would really appreciate that. And also, hit the hype button, because that helps me out as well. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.